Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Wearables Tutorials. I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers, those that have watched, liked and subscribed to this channel. I owe you my thanks and my gratitude. I'm saying a very big thank you to you all, and may God bless you. And for those that are new to our channel, you're yet to subscribe, please hit the red button below, the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you won't miss out. Subscription is actually free, just a click, just touch the subscribe button, and that's all we need from you. All right, for our tutorials today, we'll be looking at how to cut a yoke top. A yoke top is going to be a long gathered top actually, so maybe by the time we are done, you'll see how it's gonna come out. It's really going to be an easy tutorial, very easy, and it doesn't take so much of a fabric. Here I have just a yard of fabric. I have my chalk, my scissors, my curves, my measuring tape, of course. So like I said, I'll be using just a yard of fabric for this gown, and this plain doll face satin for the yoke part. So a yard of fabric is about 36 inches. So here I have 36 inches and like 2.5 inches extra. So let's get started. Now the first thing I need to do is to fold my fabric into 4. But first of all, I'll fold into 2. There's not going to be any zipper, so there is no need for zip allowance. The back and the front are going to be the same, but I'll likely be adding a button to this for ease, so that my head can easily pass through depending on whatever neckline I finally decide to use. All right, so I folded into 2. Now I want this part that has the border to be the down part of my gown or my dress, then the white part will bear the yoke. So I folded into 2. Since I'll be cutting both back and front together, I'll be folding again into 4, just this way. Okay, now I have my fabric folded into 4. The folded part is actually facing me, that's the centers of fold for both back and front, and the loose part are this other end. Trying to spread it out very well. All right, this is going to be a very quick one. All right, now my fabric is folded, and the measurements I need for this tutorial is just going to be my shoulder measurement and possibly my armhole measurement. So my shoulder measurement, then the length of my gown. The shoulder measurement is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2, I have 8 inches. There will not be sleeve. It's going to be a sleeveless yoke gathered top, so there is no need for my sleeve. And since I will likely be using bias or maybe a facing to turn the armhole, there's no need for reduction. So from where I have my shoulder, I'll come down by 8 inches for my armhole line. Like I said, it's going to be sleeveless. I usually use 9 inches for my armhole because I don't like having it tight around that area. But for this that is going to be sleeveless, I wouldn't want it to be too low, so I'm using 8 inches for my armhole. All right, so I just made an L shape, which I'll take all the way to the end part of my fabric. Now the next measurement now is my neckline. So the neckline I'll be using for this, I'll be using 4.5 by 3 inches. The width is 4.5 while the depth is 3 inches. So I'll use my curve and connect the lines. Like so. Okay, now I need my shoulder slope 1 inch. You reduce the armhole line by 1 inch. Very important, because you know the shoulder is not straight. You have to include your shoulder slope to make it relax very well on the shoulder area. So this is my 1 inch shoulder slope. Now I can go ahead and draw out my armhole. Of course, to draw the armhole, you can place your bust measurement, even though I will not be needing it here because I'm going to be gathering this around my upper bust area. Okay, so I have my bust measurement to be, I'll be using 9 inches plus 2 inches seam allowance, that is 11 inches, just to get my curve. That is why I added the bust measurement. Now for the yoke, the length of the yoke, I'll be using 7 inches for my yoke. So from my shoulder I measure 7 inches. That is where the gathers will start forming, or where the gathers will be. So 7 inches, and I'll mark it this way across the chest line. So if you want to make it a sweetheart kind of yoke, you can bring this down this way, or maybe from your 7 inches you come down by 2 inches or 3 inches, depending on how deep you want the sweetheart to be. Then you make a curve and bring it down. But I don't think I want it to be that way. I just want it to be a straight yoke because of the gathers I'm going to make. All right, okay, now I'll go ahead and cut this out. But before I cut, let me quickly get the full length of the blouse. Okay, the total length of my fabric is about 28.5 inches aside the selvedge area, so I'll just make it 28. Though the normal length for my blouse, I usually use 25 inches, so the extra 3 can equally add to the length, because I don't want the top to just be hanging there. I want it to be a bit longer than usual. All right, now it's time to cut. There's no shape, there's no bust measure, no under bust measurement, no waist measurement, no hip measurement, just this other part. So let me quickly take this part again. Remember I said this is my shoulder divided by 2. I have 8 inches, that's 16 inches for the shoulder divided by 2, 8 inches. Then I came down by 8 inches for the armhole line. For the shoulder slope, I had to reduce the armhole line by 1 and connected it to the neckline. Then for the yoke, I measure from the neckline 7 inches. That is where I want the yoke to start. Your yoke can be 6 inches, it can be 8 inches, so it's totally dependent on you. Okay, now it's time to cut this out. The back neck and the front neck, I don't think I want them to be the same, so I'll just raise the back neck by 1. That is, the back neck is now 2 inches depth, while the front is 3 inches deep. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this across. Cut it just like so to the end of my fabric. So this part now, this upper part now, so this is going to be my back neckline. Can go ahead and reduce this for the front neckline. All right, okay, that's all for this. Now the next thing to do now is to use this yoke I have cut out already, place it on my door face satin, which I want to be the main yoke, and cut it again. So this is just going to be this way. It's going to be for the front and back. So what I will do to fit it in is, after using this yoke to cut another yoke with the material I want to be at the top, I will now gather this to fit in this measurement and your top is ready. So now let's cut our yoke. This doll face is just about half yard of doll face satin. So I'll still place it on fold my yoke also, and this is the front. Remember I said I will likely be adding button to the back, so when I get to the back I'll be leaving like 1 inch sewing allowance, button allowance or sewing allowance, just the way you add it to your zip. So before I cut this, I'll be adding 1 inch to the length. That's to get a new length, because I'll need to use some allowance to join this to this. So you cannot cut exactly what you have here, otherwise this might reduce the length of the top. So I'll add extra 1 inch. You can make it half, you can make it 1, so it's okay. I think I should just use ½ inch. Add ½ inch to the length of the initial yoke to the new yoke you are cutting. So this will give you enough allowance to join it to the gathers after forming it. So now I am going to trace this out and cut out the new yoke length. Like so. Alright, now you can see I have like ½ inch difference between the first yoke and the second yoke, so that I can have enough allowance to join my gathers to the yoke. So you can do away with this. Now this is the yoke for the front, and for the back yoke, like I said earlier, I will need to add button to it. Now make it seem like I am adding a zip allowance, but this time around there is not going to be any zipper, it's just going to be button allowance, but I'll be using 1 inch for my button allowance. So this is my 1 inch. Well, I believe you can see this is my 1 inch for the button allowance. All right, now I'm placing the yoke just after my 1 inch button allowance. Then I'll repeat same ½ inch joining allowance to the length of my new yoke. Okay, just like so. Then you can go ahead and cut it out. So with this tutorial, you don't need so much of a fabric. Maybe 1/4 or possibly 1.5 yard of material is enough to get you this. So the yoke, you can see I had ½ yard and I still have some remaining. All right, I had to cut it open because it's going to be open. Of course, you should know that by now. All right, so the back and the front are the same because I'll be making gathers. So you just gather, there's no need slitting the back of the yoke, I mean the one that will be at the back, because this button is not going to get to the yoke area. So I'll just be using that ½ inch. I'll leave the opening from here maybe like 1 inch before I attach my button. So the next thing to do now is take it to my sewing machine. You can use a bias tape and pipe the edges, or you can make a facing, but I think I'll be using bias tape for this. So after piping the neck and the armhole, you can just make your gathers and attach this to the flay, then you shape your gown. Okay, now I am going to use my bias tape to pipe the edges, the neckline and the armhole of my yoke. So if you're yet to view our video on how to perfectly use a bias tape to finish your necklines, your hems, your armhole, please, I'll leave the link to the video in the description box. Do well to watch it so that you see how I used this bias tape. Right now I am done piping the neckline and the armhole line with my bias tape. I actually used a black bias, but please, if you're making yours, you can use same color of bias, but I couldn't find mine, so I had to use black. And you can see the neckline is piped and the armhole also is piped. So the next thing to do now, this is the front piece of my fabric. I'll pick one of the pieces of the down part of the fabric, then with my needle and thread I'm going to make some gathers which I'll sew onto the yoke I have made. So you can use your machine and make a loose stitch, then draw it, but I prefer to make my gathers with needle and thread. Alright, so I have fixed my needle and thread, and like I said, this is how I like making my gathers. I'll start forming my gathers from the beginning part of my fabric. Just make a running stitch till you get to the end of the fabric, half inch interval, like so. I'm going to continue until I get to the end of the fabric. So if you can use your sewing machine, just bring the stitch control to the gather stitch. You can run it twice or once, then you pull the bobbin thread beneath your fabric to form these gathers also. Okay, now I'm done forming my gathers. You can see the gathers are formed, so I'm going to spread them evenly on my yoke. So you need to turn these right sides facing each other. Here your office pins are going to be useful. So first of all, what I do is pin up the two edges. I'll probably pin up this side. Then I'll begin to spread or share my gathers. If the gathers is not going to be enough, you can make key splits instead of gathers. They will still give you that kind of flay or the flay you want. That is if your fabric is not enough. But if you want the gathers to be fuller than what you are seeing or fuller than this, you can use complete 2 yards of fabric. But I don't want it to be so much, right? I'll just spread it like so. Then I'll use my pin to hold them down, take it to the sewing machine, and the half inch which I added to the yoke, that is what I'm going to be using now to join this fabric to the yoke. Okay, now you can see I have secured the gathers with office pin, and this is how it's going to look like when you are done attaching the gathers to the yoke. So I'll take it now to my sewing machine and run it on the yoke side so that I can get my half inch, the sewing allowance I added when I was cutting it. Okay, now I'm back. I'm done joining the yoke to the gathers, and I've taken out my pins. The next thing to do now is to remove the thread which I used to gather it before sewing. Alright, I've pulled that out, and this is what we have got for the front part of our top. So you repeat the same process for the back. If you don't want to add the button like I would be adding to mine, just leave it, do not slit it. Repeat the same process, join the shoulders, close up the sides, and your dress is ready. Thank you for being with us, and please do try this and maybe share with us on our Facebook page, Zob's Wearables Tutorials, DIY Crafts and Fashion. We'll be glad to see the outcome of your watching this video. Thank you so much, and please do not forget to subscribe if you're yet to subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you find this very useful, and do not forget to share. Leave a comment on next tutorial you would want us to bring up to you. Thank you so much, and do have a lovely time ahead.